For over 20 years, I've dedicated my life to bringing you the very best selling, marketing, and business building strategies to keep your business thriving. Get ready to experience the success you've been searching for. Welcome to the Tom Ferry Show.
I'm not sure how this is going to work, Danny, but here we go. Ta-da! Number 3, show up mentally prepared. I know that sounds easy. Has there ever been a time you went on a presentation and you showed up late? Late. Talk about a way to instantly create the opposite of rapport by disrespecting the customer and showing up late. The reality is, my friends, I know we've all been there. Traffic, this, that, you have no idea. I get it. You know, I learned a long time ago, if you want to be on time, leave 15 minutes earlier than you think you need to leave, and you will always get there a little bit earlier and be ready to go. But the bigger issue is showing up mentally prepared. I like to stop before every presentation, and I close my eyes, and I just say, okay, who's my customer? And I go back through all this information, and I think about, what is my outcome? What do I want to do? I want to bring them value. I want to separate myself from the competition if there is any. I want to become the obvious and no-brainer yes, and I want to make it easy and elegant and beautiful. I don't want to be a 19-year-old dude trying to close on the first date, right? Remember that old line? We don't want to be that guy or that gal. Easy, elegant, no-brainer, remove all the resistance, create lots of trust, and make this process easy for them. Because let's face it, how long do you want a salesperson in your house? I mean, if you really put it in context, you want that person in and out pretty quickly, and you'd like it to be smooth and easy and no resistance. Well, don't you think most customers are just like you? So I say show up mentally prepared, knowing the customer. Now, let's go a little advanced. You ready? Number 4, I believe that sales is a story. And my experience is most people, the vast majority of agents, start their listing presentation the same exact way. Hi, Bob and Mary. Thanks so much for having me over. I'm really excited. Let's go take a look at the home. All that stuff, I get it. It's all part of the deal. But starting your presentation, how you start, if you frame it with a story, if you begin with a hook, then you immediately create interest. You immediately capture them, and more importantly, you separate yourself from the competition. You see, most of your competition walks in and says, hi, thank you so much. Let me tell you about my company. Let me tell you about me. Let me show you all my awards. Let me show all my prizes. Let me show you and then let me show you the marketing of all the websites I've never been to, blah, 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 blah. It's the same thing everywhere you go. Now, I probably have your attention. Do I have your attention? I should. Consider the following. You ready? Sales is about storytelling. It's always been about storytelling. Here's a story. You ready? For a seasoned agent or an experienced agent. You know, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, thank you so much for having me over. I have been on 62 appointments like this in the last 12 months. 58 of those people chose to list with us. At the end of every meeting, I'll sit in my car for 15, sometimes 20 minutes, and I'll debrief. I open up Evernote, and I start writing notes about every question they asked. What was important? What were their concerns? What made them nervous? How do I make the process easy and smooth for my clients? Because selling a home can be stressful. So you know what I've discovered after doing this now for 3 years, 60, 70 times a year, each time having 55 to 60 list their home with me, I've discovered there's only 5 things that were important to every client I've ever met with. Would you like to see the list? Would you like to go through the 5? Now, that's a little bit different from, here's my company, here's my right? Now, I'm not dogging you and your company. I'm just saying, if you're in a hyper-competitive marketplace, you've got to do something different and stand out. The story you create is how you will stand out. Now, if I'm a new agent, what am I going to do? I'm just going to flip it and say, our firm has successfully listed and sold over 275 homes, and every week at our team meeting, all the agents get together and we debrief on all the new listings we've taken and what were the concerns and what were the issues and what were the challenges of the seller. And we've discovered there's only 5 things that are important to every client we've ever served in this community. Would you like to go through the 5? That's a little bit better than trying to figure out how do I navigate as a new agent. Does that make sense? So what's your story? What's your story that's going to prime the customer, hook the customer, create some interest, create some intrigue, like, well, what are the 5? Like, I don't know. And by the way, when you then say, would you like to see the 5? And they say yes, guess what? They're engaged with you. Now they're listening through a filter of what are the 5 things. You've got their interest. You now have permission to speak life into their concerns, their worries, their challenges. And listen, last time I checked, selling is the ability to tell a story and ask questions that naturally and automatically lead you and the customer to a mutually desired end result, right? It's not supposed to be stressful. It's not supposed to be intense. It's supposed to be natural and automatic. And that's what we're attempting here. So let's keep going. You ready? So show up mentally prepared. Sales is a story. Open with a better story to hook them in a way that's interesting, that has them listen, and then, would you like to know the 5? Would you like to know the 7? Would you like to know the 11 things that every one of our customers was interested in? I just had this conversation with one of my clients because she has the same question on every presentation. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, every time I'm meeting with a wonderful couple like you that's interested in selling in the ocean, their home on the ocean front, the number one question we get is, how are you going to attract the international buyers? Which is why several years ago we created the Gellens Report. This is Maxine and Marty Gellens, right? We created the Gellens Report. Every year we do an exhaustive research piece on every property that was sold along the coast between Point Loma, La Jolla, Del Mar, etc. And I think you're gonna find this interesting. Let's look at the report. Only 4% of all the buyers actually came from international. And yet every client we meet with says, how are you gonna find the international buyers? When the truth is, what you really should be asking is, how are you going to find the buyers in Texas, Arizona, Nevada, and throughout San Diego County, which is where 96% of the buyers come from? Does that make sense? What the? You with me? Like, awesome stuff, speaking directly into what's going on in the mind of the customers. All right, so let's keep going. Taz, over here. I created 4A for the first time ever on a Tom Ferry show. Can you just look at this? And maybe, Taz, can you maybe go in a little tighter on it? Here's 5 things that every customer, so Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we met with 65 people in the last 12 months, 270 in the last 5 years, and after a 15 or 20 minute debrief on every time, they really were concerned about 5 things. How are you going to get me the most possible money for my home? How much time is it going to take for me and for you in the process? Have you done it over and over again before? Like, do you have a track record? Is there proof? And then what's your marketing plan? Like, how are you going to market and expose the property to make sure that the highest number of buyers ultimately see the home? And then the last one is, who else is involved? What's the team? What's the process? So let's go through those together. And now, right, now we're speaking directly into what's important to the customer. Does that make sense? Now, I'm making up these 5. This is stuff that I work on with a bunch of clients that it resonates for them. You might have 11 things. You know your customer better than I do. If you're in Milwaukee, what's important to them this time of the year versus springtime, summertime, winter, right? If you're in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, maybe staging is the hot thing, or how do we compete against the condo market as an example. Rule number 1 is know your customer. Think about the story that hooks them in, and then I begin to show. Now, I like big, obvious visuals. You with me? Yesterday, I looked at somebody's listing presentation, and I opened up, and here's the first thing I saw, Marty, a photo of this person on every page. I was like, look, after the 3rd page, I know what you look like, and since this photo doesn't actually look like you, it's kind of awkward. And then I said to her, wouldn't it be funny if you were wearing the same exact outfit on the appointment as the photo? Like, that would just be hysterical. White space is okay in your presentation. Big, obvious photo fonts are okay. Like, everyone understands a $sign. Everybody understands a clock. Everybody understands performance and track record, marketing, right? And who's involved. Big, obvious, visual, simple, clean. You turn the page, there's the next one. All my clients are interested in money. All my clients are interested in time. All my clients are interested in, have you done it before, right? Do you have a track record? Here's my Zillow reviews. Here's my map, right? This could just as easily be your map with every one of your transactions, right? How are we going to market it? We're going to cover that today, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, and then ultimately the team and the process, so you know that while I'm here, there's a group of people behind me that are handling phone calls, taking care of transactions, servicing our customers to bring the most possible value. Does that make sense? right? Bam. You with me on this? Now again, I'm not trying to change your entire presentation from beginning to end. I said to you, Bill Pipes, the extraordinary coach, the leader of our Sales Edge conference, who's out talking, he's already trained 1,000 agents this year, 3 days of role playing. He'll end up training, I'm gonna guess, 5,000 or 6,000 this year. He said, work on your listing presentation, make your listing presentation better, and by doing that, you'll want to naturally and automatically go do everything else in your business, because whoever gets all the listings wins, right? But this is the effect. If I've got this down, I'll do all the things I have to do, the cause to get there. Does that make sense? Watching. If you love what you're seeing here, then click the button below to join our online community absolutely free. Thanks so much.